up, everyone? This is the Go Along Podcast. I'm Tyler Dunn here with Jim Monis. As always, this podcast brought to you by our friends right here at beautiful Hamburg Brewing Company.
Beautiful.
Drinking a little Frosty, the IPA. 5.5. It's nice. It's smooth. It does. If you're looking to kind of crush, 4 or 5 IPAs and not lose your head, Frosty it's for you, man. I like it a lot. It's that time of year, right? I'm going to regret saying this, Jim, but I kind of like the fact that we're getting a lot of snow here in the South Towns, and Christmas music's in the air, and we're watching The Grinch roughly 58 times a day with Ella.
No,
it's a great time of year.
Pretty fun. That's pretty fun. No, I'm jealous right now. I wish I was there with you, but we'll get our schedules on point here soon, and we'll do what we do best at get our beef and wet. And go through hopping stands, go through Frosty the IPA, whatever we need to. But I can't wait to get there. It looks, just seeing that place right now, people just need to go there because it puts you in the spirit. Like just looking at it right now puts me in the spirit.
You got the massive stone fireplace in the middle that's just iconic. And
that's
you're
usually
right.
our home right there. That's usually where yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's great. I mean, they really do have a beer for anything you'd want. The sours are great. They have a great raspberry smoothie that just came out.
About that
it's got some bite to it. It's good. Obviously, we're all Louis fans, which we've been slacking on our Louis locks, so we should probably do some of those.
Well, there's a reason
Still's number one, I think, right now.
Hop and stand, that hop and stance is for me. That's just, I don't need anything else. That was like they made it for me.
So if you recovered from your
Louis locks needed to take a break. We weren't winning money. Let's just put it that way.
Well, we're in the business of helping people make money. So when we're off our game a little bit,
Christmas season, everybody's stressed right now financially. You're spending money, and let the degenerates do their stuff on their own, and we'll get back to after the new year maybe for the playoffs.
And back when you played a pickup basketball game with your buddies and, you miss about 10 shots in a row. I'm just going to take myself out. I'm just going to tap out. See ya.
Do it before because they'll thank you. They didn't want to say anything to you, but they're like, yeah, thanks.
Well, Jim, you were pretty angry Monday night. I mean, granted, we potted until about 1:30 a.m. and it was a lot of reason for the anger. It was a pretty poor display.
Mine was really, I really felt strong that the Bills were going to win that game. And, and the gambling part of it had me upset. And don't worry about it. I'm going to take them this week against Tampa, but we'll get into that later. But
what?
Oh, yeah, they're going to win. They're going to win this game. That's how the NFL works. But that was, I guess I guess we have a lot more to talk about. The press conference seemed to draw a lot of attention that night while we were doing our pod.
It did. Yeah, it did. First things first, I don't think you can take 14 points in a vacuum, right? It's very, and you said it. So we podcasted while Sean McDermott and the players were speaking, so we couldn't really comment. And for all the non-Bills fans listening, we promise we're going to get into some other stuff.
Oh yeah,
this episode. Yeah. It's a very muddled NFL right now, so we're thinking we'll try to make sense of it, right? And give one or two teams that we believe in, one or two teams that we don't really believe in, and see where it goes. Because it's a strange year. There's so much parity.
It is.
And we want this to be an NFL podcast. But obviously we live here in Western New York. That was, I was listening to Mad Dog Radio. I love the guy, the morning men in the morning. They do a great job, Babcheck and Evan. But they really thought that this was the most memorable game of the season. And I get it. It probably was. I mean, I don't know what other game in terms of memorable game. We'll never forget the night.
We will never forget this.
Put the ball in the air 3 times and won.
Ever. That is well said. There's very few regular season games that you can sit there and that have historic meaning or something that you will never forget. I don't see how this one would leave our memory.
So, yeah, I mean, I think you can't. So, yeah. You said it. Sean McDermott can sit there and say we only gave up 14 points, and he might as well have just taken Brian Daboll and just slid him under a bus, gotten into the driver's seat, and drove over him and back. But what a slap in the face to your offensive coordinator to just completely. I mean, really, it was, and his defensive players kind of said the same thing. Not our fault. Not our fault. We did our jobs. But I don't think you can take 14 points in a vacuum and the 200 whatever yards rushing in a vacuum. Like, everybody knew they were running the ball every single play, and they physically punished. And the argument, oh, if you took away that one long touch, you can't just take away one long touchdown run.
No.
You can't just do that. I mean, Dan Orlovsky had a great breakdown of that play on ESPN as well. But
I saw that.
It's no, I think it was a physically dominating performance that tells you a lot about where both teams are. And when you can't get off the field, when you can't get a stop, when you don't force them to pass, I think it does say a lot about where you're at as a football team. And I'll shut up. I want to hear what you thought about the aftermath.
No, I think what caught me, I think with the scapegoat stuff with Sean talking about the offense had chances and field position, turning the ball over. That was very not Andy Reid like, as far as how he wants to present his press conferences. Sean wants to, Andy Reid, if everybody knows Andy Reid, his press conferences are always the same, win or loss. I can't think of many times where he's sold out the defense or a player or somebody on offense. He might say, hey, we got to do this better, but it starts with me, blah, blah, blah. That told me Sean was flustered. Yeah. I thought that's what I took from that, where he was, that game irritated him.
For those who missed it too, the quote was, and obviously the person who asked the question was our third host here a couple of weeks ago, and one of my best friends, Matthew Fairburn. So I'm biased. I mean, he's very very close.
Matt came back and made his mark on.
He did. I mean, he asked the questions that needed to be asked, and it was a unbelievably fair question to ask Sean McDermott. Because let's not forget what Sean McDermott has said in the past, how Bill Belichick, I'm paraphrasing, keeps him up at night, right? Like the Patriots, he has talked about Bill Belichick and the Patriots and this needing to be the hurdle. And we all saw how emotional he was last year when they beat the Patriots and they thought that they overcame this hurdle.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's very fair to ask about the psychology of this all when we see Sean McDermott losing his damn mind on the sideline all game too. I mean, he was very, very angry for 3 hours.
We talked about it.
And you take on the personality of your coach. That was Matt's other question. Like, how do you respond? So I think that was very fair. Any criticism that Matt's getting, get the hell out of here with that. But it was you know why it was a good question? You got an honest answer. You got honesty.
No doubt.
I mean, right, which is hard to get out of a coach who doesn't say much.
And I think the other thing that I didn't get to see while we were doing the podcast, but we might have touched on a little bit, but I can't remember seeing Belichick so happy after a win, especially a regular season win.
Yeah.
He and McDaniels were almost like, I was picturing them all night on the flight back, like seriously, not nonstop laughing. Like, I don't know if I've ever been a part of a win where, I mean, I have. Those flights when you just, you want a big game and then you get on that flight. It is like, it really is one of the great feelings. And when you're working in the NFL, because it's long, it's just every week, you know how it is. Every week, it's week to week, it's long hours. And when you lose, it's the end of the world. But when you win and can enjoy one, and sometimes that flight's like the only time you can really enjoy it, because then you get back and reality sets in. But man, I just kept thinking about them on that flight laughing. I mean, they literally looked like they were like, holy shit, we just won a game and really didn't throw the ball. I don't even care that they threw 3 times. Right. I don't even count any of those. Like, they didn't even throw the ball.
That's the thing. Like, I don't, this is why you don't play the game in a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, putting numbers in there saying, well, they only gave up this amount of yards and this amount of points. If you watch the game with your own 2 eyes, with a brain, you saw an embarrassing defensive performance where you can't force this team to throw the ball. Right. And I get it. Like, and you mentioned it, maybe I'm wrong, but like, okay, Josh Allen connects with Stephon Diggs on a touchdown at the end of the game. Maybe we're all mocking the Patriots for what they did. I don't know. I think I probably feel the same way.
Maybe not mocker. We're just like, hey, great effort. But I mean, Well, something like that. But yeah, it would have been interesting.
They had everybody in the box. They had everybody in the box, and they couldn't stop
do
it. You know?
No, it was I don't know. What's crazy about, I know what's crazy about the end, and I know I talked about it a little bit, but I'm like, now we've had some days to really analyze this week coming up, and I've been looking into it. I'm like, I can't believe it. I'm going to take the Bill. I'm betting on the Bills again this weekend. Like, I'm betting on them. I'm going to take them in the money line. I think they're going to beat Tampa. That's how
you were
crazy.
saying that they're going to struggle with Carolina on Monday night.
They might lose Carolina next week. The NFL is week to week. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it would not shock me one bit for them to go down to Tampa, pissed off right now. They just had, anytime you're talking about they're a good football team. Let's not lose sight that this is a good football team. They have pride. They're professionals, and they are pissed right now. And that's a recipe to go on the road, and they can get away from it all. Go down to Tampa. It's going to be great weather. I would assume. I don't even check the weather down there unless it's raining. And their secondary, I think, remember we talked about this I said this might be the time when the Bills say, let's stop faking what we are. Let's air this. Let's let Josh go to work. And this is who we're paying. And this is a team you can do it against. Tampa's secondary isn't good. So I guess I feel like it could line up where here we are, where can you imagine if they go down and get this win? It just almost is like we're right back to, who cares about that Patriot game until they play them again.
Then they play New England again.
Until they play them again.
Well, I would hope that they would be pissed off. And I think that's kind of central to a lot of the problems. I feel like this is a team that, and it's a good thing too, right? Like, and we've talked about it. If you're beating teams by 20, 30 points every week, like they were this time last year, when the getting's good and
Amazing.
They've got their opponent down, they've got their foot above that team's throat, and they're winning by a lot. But that just hasn't been the case this year. And they just haven't been able to respond once they get punched in the mouth. So they should, instead of being indignant and defensive, I mean, that seemed like a very defensive aftermath for the Bills. Like, how dare anybody kind of question? And we can get into the other story out of those press conferences if you want. There's a lot of ways to look at that. But overall, and you're right. I mean, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde have been two very stand-up guys.
Yeah.
I knew Micah Hyde in his Packer days.
Yeah, that's right.
You had that magnetic pull to his locker. We talked often. He was one of the guys that would stand at his locker and talk to the media literally the entire time the locker room was open. He'd explain things, whether you're writing a feature story, whether you're doing a story after the game. He was very engaging, very open. I mean, there's a reason that everybody has been coming to his defense with who he is as a person. What I'll say is, I think the problem with this all, Jim, is it's not even really the players' fault. It's the league pushing the podium, the league eliminating the locker room from anything. So, this game happens, right? Like, and Bills fans are pissed. Everybody's wondering, what the hell did we just watch? The Patriots threw the ball 3 times. Like, what? Like, I think there is this need to try to understand what the F just happened out there, right? Like, fans were the ones out there in the 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. All that, like, they're supporting this game. They deserve to know in general what the heck happened in a game, and they deserve insight into the game, which is, to kind of take it another direction. That's kind of why I launched Go Long in a lot of ways. Like, the league is pushing the podium, pushing press conferences. I want to get in guys' homes and learn about this sport and learn about their lives as much as possible. So I'll be shocked if we can get back in those locker rooms, because when does COVID end? I mean, the league's not going to let this crisis go to waste. They're going to use this. I talked to somebody with a team, and it was kind of like, you're never going back in that locker room. I hate to tell you. And there's some teams that are better than others, Jim. I'll tell you this. Like, we can probably decipher. I mean, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh come to mind. I mean, their PR departments are really helpful trying to work around these rules. I mean, I know some teams that don't like them. It's like they want fans. They want people to understand the game as much as possible. And bringing you to these players, sitting you down with these players, and you're talking and learning as much as you can. So there's ways around it, but for people who don't know, I'm kind of getting inside baseball-ish here, but the locker rooms are closed because of COVID. And so after a game, typically what would happen is there's a cooling off period, which is what there should be. Something crazy happens in the game, give guys 10, 15 minutes to cool off, and then it would be an open locker room. You've got whatever it is, 45 minutes, an hour in there to talk about the game. You don't have that anymore. It's just whoever the team puts out there to talk to reporters and the fans. So credit to Micah Hyde, credit to Jordan Poyer for being the Bills representatives, the captains who will sit there and answer for this game where everybody's wondering what the hell just happened out there. And I've worked with Jerry Sullivan. I mean, I read Jerry. I mean, in high school, Jim, and I've told Jerry this, I couldn't wait to get to the library at ECS down in Ellicottville, 7 a.m. to see what Jerry wrote about the quarterback situation. Back then it's Drew Bledsoe, Kelly Holcomb, JP Lossman. And, he's a columnist. It is his job to provoke. It is his job to question, to be skeptical. And let's face it, they didn't make the playoffs for 17 years. It's not like, and before that, when they were making the Super Bowl, Jerry was a feature writer and he wrote some amazing feature stories. So let's not, he's done that. But he's not at the Buffalo News anymore. Obviously, he's writing for Niagara Gazette. He's doing a column on what happened out there. I think we could agree it was embarrassing to lose to a team that threw the ball 3 times. Yeah. These players have been asked at different parts of the season about the embarrassment on the field. I think Matt Perino, at New York Upstate.com, he asked Josh Allen after the Jacksonville game if they're frauds. I'm paraphrasing, but and Josh Allen answered it. He answered it. He did in full. And so
it's tough. I don't like to, I don't get upset at, I don't get upset at the players.
I'm just saying, I can see where people have to understand all these factors, right? Like Jerry's a columnist.
And I don't think Jerry was doing his job. I mean,
he's doing his job.
Yeah. So that one, I'm kind of brushing that one away. It was Sean was the one I was more didn't really like how he handled it, but that was tough. I like what Mike, I know Hyde came out the next day and said some stuff, and
it's tough because I get people being upset, right? I think naturally, it's right after a game and you just, had your butts handed to you and, you don't like the way in which a question's asked and you're going to react a certain way. And then Jerry reacted a certain way when he said, back in my day. And I think everybody, be sure to check out, I want to have him on this podcast too. I think it'd be great to talk to Jerry about this, but he went on Tim Graham's podcast this week and talked about everything. It's worth everybody's listen for sure. But I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking, when things go wrong in a season and when there's ups, when there's downs, I think a lot of people want to know what happened out there. That's all. And, if things were said a little crass, look, Jerry said himself, hey, it's my job to provoke. It's my job to be skeptical. It's my job to have an opinion. And what's worse? You know what? Here's the other thing. Isn't it better for Jerry to get the thoughts of those players? If he's going to write that they were embarrassed, that they were rolled over, I think it's a good thing to see what players think about that. Here's your chance. And to his credit, there was a good answer there. They basically said it wasn't our fault. They basically said we did our jobs.
No, that's
so there was substance there to chew on.
That I don't think I can remember another time since Sean's been head coach where after a game we're hearing, I want to say, finger pointing at the other side of the ball. So that hasn't happened. That's Sean. Sean certainly made it clear. We're not making that up. And it's scapegoat season. The Panthers, you see what they did. They got Joe Brady's out of there. It's scapegoat season. We'll see if the Browns lose the Steelers this week. You never know. That they could fire their defensive coordinator. You just never know what's going to happen this time of year. Like we talked about. That's what was fun about Monday's podcast, doing it right after the show. It brought back memories for me of, if I was still working for the Bills, what would be going on. And that's
and Jerry's writing columns about you guys. right? Like
Oh,
it's
I was gonna say, Jerry, I would love to. It'd be fun to have him on just to talk. I mean, shoot, he pretty much. I knew we were getting fired just from reading his articles more than I did from waiting. I didn't have to wait to hear from Terry. I knew that thing was done. He and
I mean,
Tim Graham had that. They had that done before we were.
there's different
But anyway,
roles in the media though. There's different roles.
no,
Like I think there's
different. No,
feature
and it's
writers,
yeah.
there's reporting, there's columnists, and I think everybody can. I mean, you can write. I've written stuff that piss people. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
And I don't know. It was interesting. I was really shocked at the level of vitriol that he received for sure. Like it was almost like he was a middle linebacker in the Bills defense in that game.
Well, it would be interesting to see, like I said, if the Bills do beat Tampa, you know, how the game, whatever, I don't know how the game will play out, but it'd be cool to see what Jerry would ask in that press conference.
It's a good point.
Because that would be fair to come back, or just bring. It would be interesting to see. Just we'll see, but
yeah, it's well, that's kind of the beauty of this all, right? Like they're still right there.
Like, yeah. Oh, that leads us really into what we want to talk about. It's jumbled. You can't pick a team. Like it's hard to sit there and say who is going to, the AFC especially. I think the NFC is kind of clear on the 3 or 4 teams for sure. AFC, good luck.
Where are the Bills within everything right now?
They're 7.
I mean, in terms of just what you think about their Super Bowl chances still.
No, I know it's going to sound crazy. I still think they are very much alive to make the Super Bowl. I do. But eventually they have to, like, I feel like it's like a broken record. You got to do it. At some point, you got to beat a real team. It's time to beat a real team, especially this time of year. And they have plenty of opportunities starting this week.
So when you look at, let's start in the AFC. So probably more title contending teams in the AFC. We all, here's the thing, like you can't even just say maybe the Patriots, I guess, but it's not like there's 2 and 3 absolute favorites. No. It's all jumbled. So
it's all jumbled.
Here, like give me a team that you believe in, Jim, and give me a team that you do not believe in.
The believe in is actually harder than the don't believe for me. I'm going to go with Tennessee. I'm going to let you, I think we have another team that we might both agree is a shaky one in the AFC, but Tennessee for me, when I break down playoffs, it's real simple. I go quarterback, defense. They have to be in place. And Tannehill, I think, is a good quarterback, not special. Their defense is okay to me. It's not special. So, I just don't think Tennessee's a team that is, I think they're the 2 seed right now. And that one I don't see as one. I'm not a believer in Tennessee. Who's your believer in the AFC?
If you are a believer in Tennessee, then check out goalongtd.com tomorrow, everybody. Or I should say right now, Friday. No, Bob did a McGinn Files on Mike Vrabel. So
I like Vrabel.
He's an interesting guy, man. I think people are going to love this
I like the job
deep dive.
He's done there. I like the job he's done. I'm interested to read that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean it's a good look back at what scouts and everybody thought of him as a player coming out, how he kind of got to the position he's in.
That's cool.
But yeah, I agree with you though. It's strange to see them atop the division playing the way they're playing right now. I don't really have a strong opinion on them as a team. Well, man,
I know.
I'm looking. It's like a cop out, right? I think a team that I don't believe in. Man, I'm gonna go with. I mean, it's easy to say the Raiders and Broncos. I mean, I know they're both 6-6.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's not much of a take. I don't want to write off the Chiefs or the Chargers though. I don't even know how to make sense of the AFC West quite now. I think Justin Herbert's so good that they can still figure it out.
No doubt. But if you're not believing in somebody, that's hard.
You know,
I could actually make a case. And this is gonna be crazy too. I could go really crazy, and I don't know if I believe in the Patriots yet. I honestly don't know. Mac Jones is still I still don't know who he is yet. I need to see him get tested a little bit. We talked about it, right? Would they have the third easiest schedule? The Bills had the second going into this game this week. So we haven't seen Mac Jones be tested yet. So I honestly probably could put the Patriots in there for me, where I need to see, because you're not winning, you're not getting to the Super Bowl unless your quarterback is ready. I'll put it to you. I guess that's the word I would use. And is he ready to take a team to the Super Bowl? Mac Jones?
I wouldn't be surprised though if they meet in Foxborough in a few weeks and the weather's perfectly fine. Maybe it's a little cold and they throw the ball 30 times.
Well, then that would be good, because I would really like to see more of him, especially now that it's crunch time. But anyway, I'll stick with Tennessee for me.
Okay, so you're not buying on Tennessee. You know, I gotta grow a pair here and go beyond the Raiders and Broncos. Man, I know that when we did our mid-season like predictions, I think I had the Ravens in the Super Bowl. It's hard for me to get there now with Marlon Humphreys. You know what I mean? Like they've had so many injuries. Their whole secondary. Like if you're going into the playoffs without,
that's the other team I was going to.
Yeah, secondary. That's tough. And I love Lamar Jackson, but I think that he was covering up a lot of flaws with some of those wins the first half of the season. They've lost all their running backs. They're just trying to get by. And it's tough. I mean, you look at the whole AFC and it's like anybody can beat anybody, but I even think in their own division, I mean, the Bengals,
that division,
they lost, but I mean, Burrow, he hurts his pinky. He's tough as shit. Like he's so good. He played so good in that game.
Chase dropped the touchdown.
Yeah.
And
Joe Mixon dropped the ball.
Yeah. I mean,
that was a loss.
Right. That was a weird, but anyway, I'm with you on the Bengals, man. That's a team I want to believe in. I want them to make a run. I love watching that offense.
I think I believe, you know, I mean, I'm not going to count out Cleveland quite yet because I think they're catching Baltimore at a good time. And if Baker got a little healthier, they can get that running game going. They can play kind of how New England plays. And I think Baker's still good enough to beat you on play action a couple times a game.
I do too.
In the defense, you've got a stud pass rusher. You've got a stud cornerback. You've got playmakers who are going to force turnovers.
I like their defense their defense is good.
But the team I do believe in for sure in the AFC, Indianapolis. They're playing just about as well as anybody. I mean, a weird game against Tampa. They were right there. They kind of choked it away, but they were right there. I think that they've got a good enough quarterback.
I agree.
To take advantage of things, you know, when you load up to stop Jonathan Taylor. And as we've talked about ad nauseum on this podcast, like we know where football's at, right? You better be able to be physical. They came here to Buffalo and they beat the hell out of Buffalo. So
they did.
Who do you believe in the AFC, Jim?
If I had to, you know, this is like, you want to talk about not being put myself out there, but I'd go with the Chiefs because they finally are starting to play tougher on defense. What's crazy is their offense has been letting them down a lot lately. I mean, they just like that game against Denver the other day. They should have. It should have been a blowout. Hill's dropping balls. Kelsey's dropping balls. Mahomes is missing guys that he usually hits. Their offense just doesn't look right. But I still believe that they'll get that right. And if the defense is at least good, they don't have to be great. They just have to be good. And the offense comes around. I once again, I mean, they're going to be a monster to try to beat. So just because, you know, we haven't talked about Mahomes a lot, but I do believe that's a team I believe in. I feel good about them. I feel better about Kansas City than I do New England.
The defense is playing so well right now. I mean, moving Chris Jones back inside I don't know why they even had him outside, but
They
he
had some
is a
injuries.
game.
They had some defensive ends out early
Okay.
in the year. They're getting some guys back at the right time now.
I mean, he can take over games. I mean, he can turn into a TJ Watt out there and just say, all right, I'm just going to force a turnover. I'm just going to get to the quarterback. I'm just going to
Yeah,
take this game over right now.
when you think of like Aaron Donald as the dominant D tackle, that Chris Jones is like, he's right behind him.
Hard to argue. All right, over in the NFC, start with the team that you're not quite believing in right now, Jim.
You know what? I think this is crazy because I like this team. I'm gonna like, they're a good team, and we're talking about a team I picked to go to the NFC Championship, but I'm kind of not loving that pick right now. Is the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not seeing. I'm worried about their health. Overall, I mean, we still have time to get healthy for the playoffs, but the defense still seems shaky to me. Dak, I love Dak, but he's got to be healthy. He needs all his people healthy. I think I think both their running backs are banged up. That game this week in Washington is incredibly interesting. Incredibly interesting. Wink, wink. Washington. I like Washington this week, but Dallas would be the team. I don't know if I love my pick to have them in the NFC Championship now. I think I'd rather go with. I love Green Bay, and I think Arizona. If I had to switch that, I would put Arizona back in there over Dallas.
I'm going to agree with you on Dallas. I think we've got the same line of thinking.
So you're
there.
seeing the same. You're having the same.
I mean, it's. I know injuries, COVID. I mean, those are major factors here, right?
Oh,
I mean, Amari Cooper isn't in the lineup. It's huge. But this is. These are the problems that you kind of saw. Like the defense was pretty reliant on turnovers for a while. Dan Quinn did kind of inject them with some energy, but are they really exponentially that much better?
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, Micah Parsons is way better than I thought he'd be.
Harrisburg, PA.
That's right. Your boy. But I don't.
I love.
It's hard for me to get there with Mike McCarthy as your head coach. Like I think we've seen this song and dance. It's. I know he doesn't run the defense, but you get into January and his defenses tend to wither away. The brand of football can wither away. I love Dak. Still like a lot of players. I mean, Tony Pollard. Anytime he gets the ball, it's like, why isn't he just touching the ball every play? He is.
The offense
explosive.
Is scary. The offense is scary good. It's scary good, and that's why
gives them a chance against anybody, right?
No question.
There's just something amiss.
Like there's something about their health. It doesn't have that feel that they're getting hot at the right time. We still have. I know there's still plenty of time before the playoffs, but.
So I love Washington though too. I would take Washington in that game. I wouldn't even count out Washington for the division. They could beat Dallas twice.
What a run that would be if they end up doing that. So wait, who are you believing in the NFC? Mine's too simple. I hate it because I think Green Bay is loaded.
I'm gonna go with Arizona. It's pretty simple too. They're 10-2, but
no, I'm not trying. I know we're still talking about maybe the two best, but I guess for me, once again, just like I need to see Mac Jones do something as a rookie against a really good defense. Is Murray ready to do this in the playoffs? He's never been in the playoffs. So is he ready to just make that would be my reservation for Arizona. But man, Arizona is loaded. Arizona Green Bay would be a hell of an NFC Championship.
And I give Cliff Kingsbury and Arizona credit for not rushing Kyler Murray back. He had the ankle sprain, and it would have been really easy for them to freak out and be like, okay, last year we started 5-2 and we fell apart, and we can't let that happen again, and get out there, Kyler. But no, the way he plays the game is so improvisational. Nobody plays like Kyler Murray. It's so creative. It's so uninhibited. He starts one direction, he goes the other direction. He's really like Allen Iverson out there at quarterback. It's just kind of like all this. That's a lot of stress on your ankles, and we probably both had ankle injuries back in high school basketball. Anybody who's hurt their ankle at any point knows you sprain that thing once, you're going to sprain it again and again and again. like you have to give it time. I think they were ultra cautious and ultra smart for being cautious, giving him a full month to recover. He went out there against the Bears, scored 4 touchdowns, looked great. I mean, he didn't have to throw the ball much, but when he did on that 4th down to DeAndre Hopkins on the money,
very efficient.
Like he didn't baby that ankle at all. Like as a runner, he took off. He left guys in the dust.
No,
Arizona's scary, man, because they're getting healthy at the right time.
They're
even
so
without
good.
J.J. Watt against the run. Watt was playing the run great, but you still have Budda Baker. You still have Chandler Jones. You still have Isaiah Simmons. You still have Jordan Hicks. You got really good players all over the place. So
Agreed.
I like Arizona. I really do. And
Yeah,
it starts with that decision. What a decision by them to wait.
Well, and you can do that. And this goes back to when we were talking about free agency, and I brought up why the Bills need a backup quarterback. When you have Colt McCoy, he defines, like, you can't find a better backup. You're going to go 500, maybe better like they did. Boom, job done. You can't put a value on whatever Colt McCoy's contract. You can't put a value on that to keep that team from rushing their franchise guy back. So that was a credit to the Cardinals for they knew Colt McCoy is a damn good backup.
With Colt McCoy, so as everybody remembers, Kyler Murray initially hurt that ankle against Green Bay on October 28th when they lost 24-21. A game they really should have won. He put together a pretty good drive there. And then AJ Green didn't like turn on that back shoulder.
I bet don't even get me started on that. Yes, that was I love AJ Green. That was
I know. Rasul Douglas. I mean, it was a tough pick, tougher than I think it looked
to
make that interception.
It was a touchdown. Yeah, all right.
But then Colt McCoy comes in. You beat San Francisco 31-17. They get waxed by Carolina, which is kind of weird. But then they beat Seattle 20. So he went 2-1. He went 2-1. You're right.
Job well done.
I got to look up his contract right now. But whatever it is, it was absolutely worth it. Absolutely. Yeah, 1 year, $1.2 million.
That's a steal.
It's a steal.
That's a steal.
So I think Arizona is definitely a team to believe in. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, everything we just said here, what's crazy, Jim, people could listen to this on Monday and be like, what the hell are these idiots talking about? The NFL just changes on a dime.
I was going to say, if we did this in 2 more weeks, we could just have all different teams. Like where
we just did our revised Super Bowl picks.
Where are you at with the Rams right now? Robert Woods. That Robert Woods injury.
You're losing a lot of toughness and losing Robert Woods.
Toughness.
I just think that that Packers game just sticks in my mind where this is the team that eliminated you in the playoffs last year. You mortgage your future pick after pick after pick to bring in all these vets. Now, look, maybe by January, Odell Beckham, Von Miller, maybe they kind of know their roles and they kind of turn it. They could, no doubt about it. Right now, I want to just say that they're not tough enough. Those trades weren't worth it.
It's wild, man. Football is wild.
And you know what? The reason that I'm not gonna put him in that Arizona. Yeah, they can win it all. As Matt Stafford, right. We've talked about him before.
I'm with you on that.
He's gonna break your heart. He really is.
Well, they play Monday night this week.
I like it.
Rams and Cardinals.
What else? What else is happening in your life, Jim? How are you?
No, things are good. Definitely excited to see. This is the greatest time. I just love it. Basketball. I love basketball. So we got plenty of basketball during the week to get us to the weekend. And then we got we got the NFL picking up. Every game's becoming just crazy big. I know what we didn't talk about. Minshew for the Eagles. How great was that? Another guy that you can't put a value on. Like Minshew, that could be his whole career. Like he could be the highest paid backup. You don't want him as your franchise. He's not good enough. But he is good enough to be one of the top paid backups. And I love seeing this year is just the backup quarterback has been incredible this year, how they've come in and it's really been a fun follow, like to see how these guys have stepped up. And they all have that what we talk about, that toughness for a backup to come in and not be afraid.
Yeah.
I just love seeing it. It's been cool.
he scored on like 7 of his 8 possessions,
He
something
was
like
so
that.
good. He was so accurate. He was really good. I'm not a Hurts believer, so I text our guy Jairi Evans that was on the show. He does a lot of media down in Philly with Gerald Colton, who is his agent. They do a show, and I text them about, did you guys ever hear that Wally Pipp story, the baseball player that got hurt? It was now I'm forgetting the guy that replaced him. I'm drawing a blank. It was a Hall of Fame baseball player replaced him. I can't believe I just did disservice to that story, but
Babe Ruth, right?
Was it Babe?
I believe so. I'm
looking
not.
at
Yeah.
Wally. It was Babe Ruth.
We have so many baseball fans listening right now saying, "Why in the
And
hell am I
I'm
listening?"
embarrassing myself because I love the story and I just totally drew a blank.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it was Babe Ruth.
All right. I just said, does Jalen Hurts ever hear Wally Pipp? Because I think the Eagles are better with Minshew.
Do you really?
Yeah, I like the way their offense looked. They actually, that one read stuff and running around, it's fun, it's good, and Hurts is so tough, and I love as a playmaker, but it was cool to see. They have some really good skill players and a monster tight end. Like,
by the way, can I just cut in real quick? I feel like an idiot. It wasn't Babe Ruth. It was Lou Gehrig.
Lou Gehrig. There it is. When you
Why did I say Babe Ruth? Jeez.
All right. That was the worst baseball thing we've ever done.
This is pathetic. It really. I mean, we should
blame me because I'm the one that told the story.
Yeah, but I said Babe Ruth with such conviction. Like, it was. I didn't even hesitate.
Lou Gehrig.
Sad. You know, I didn't watch one baseball game this year, Jim.
Yeah, can't say
not 1 second of one game all year. Couldn't do it.
And those that World Series, there was some good action too. I know.
But yeah, you're right.
So anyway,
I don't know where I'm at with Jalen Hurts.
That's just my little opinion on it. I'm not saying it's just back to the whole. It's just fun to see these quarterbacks get their opportunities and really keep their teams alive.
It was worth the Bills paying up for Mitchell Trubisky.
Well, he hasn't been. We haven't seen him. To really, if he had to do it yet. But I still believe we've seen him win games in this league. So you'd like to think for 3 games they could go 2-1 with Mitch if they had to.
Do you think that he'll get a chance to start next year somewhere?
I don't think teams view him as a starter. I don't.
We'll try. I mean, there could be a team like Cleveland that says, you know what, we'll bring in and do the Tannehill thing.
Only takes one.
You know what we have to do, Jim? I've been meaning to ask you every episode, because we always talk about like the shopping cart guy and the Pete Carroll elevator guy.
Yes.
And we need like an asshole of the week segment. You know what I mean? Like, this person is just a really, really bad person.
Like how they act in public, or
like something that everybody kind of does that just is a pet peeve.
Oh, is this like your coffee shop?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so that would be like, so I do a lot of work at Spot Coffee down in Hamburg, and there's people who will, it's clearly kind of busy, and instead of going into the line to purchase their coffee, they just plop their belongings onto a table to claim that table, and then they get in line. I'm saying that, let's get into line, be orderly. We live in a society, as George Costanza says. And then get your coffee, and then that's when the table claiming begins. Once you have your coffee, claim the table. So yeah, I think the table plopper is definitely right there with shopping cart guy.
It's strong. It's strong.
You got to have something, though. I'm putting you on the spot. We didn't talk about this, but
well, I can tell you one from. I don't go to the gyms anymore, but when I used to go to like a Gold's Gym, I never understood the tough guy that had to come when you had all the dumbbells. I never understood the guy that had to just pick the dumbbell, take his dumbbells. Why can't you take your dumbbells and just walk back, right? You walk away and do your curls, shoulders, whatever you're doing. The guy that just picks it up and stands right in front of the mirror and blocking all the other weights if you want to grab something to do his curls right there. Like, you can't just walk back a little bit and give the space if somebody else wanted to come in and grab dumbbells, but you have to stay right there because you're that fired up to do your curls right then, be so close to the mirror to stare at yourself. That guy used to bug me, and I saw it a lot. Like, I just couldn't believe you can't walk away and just walk 10 feet and do your curls.
That's a bad guy.
Gets me. I mean, that's too much. It's just it's too over the top.
I can remember back when I covered you guys, 2015, Rex and Rob Ryan I was at LA. I go to LA Fitness after Bill's stuff, and they came in once, and they were good. I don't know if they got a membership or not, but they were getting a tour of the place, and they gave them the tour LA Fitness. And I was told by somebody who was a regular that they would just go into the sauna and basically hang out at the sauna and then just leave.
I was just gonna say that was what they were famous for.
Really?
I was gonna say I never saw them, but
they're not throwing up 400 pounds.
Oh, our training room, they used to have, they would make the coaches come down. They would go around the coaches' offices, say, hey, sauna, let's go, or hot tub. They like the hot tub more than the sauna, but hot tub.
Greg Roman's just cranking out squats.
Roman never produced. I never saw him in the hot tub or in the weight room. Well, no, he was in the weight room. He would do some stuff. Yes.
All right. I think that's going to do it for this episode. That was fun. Good
that was
stuff.
Good.
Appreciate everybody listening. As always, golongtd.com. Give us a try. We got free options. We got pay options. We got a lot cooking. I have a story on the New York Giants in the works, reporting on this. Yes. Very early stages, but if you're listening, might be a good time to ding the old subscribe button because it'll be interesting. And like I said, Bob McGinn, Mike Vrabel story. We have a profile on a player for the Ravens coming soon. So, yeah, thanks everybody for giving us a try. We appreciate it. Any final thoughts, Jim? Last word?
Cheers.
Well said. Thanks, everyone.